Stop visualizing what you want. Stop repeating affirmations in the mirror. Stop writing goals in pretty notebooks, hoping the universe will drop everything into your lap. If you are here, it is because you have already tried all of that, and your reality remains exactly the same. And I am going to tell you the exact reason based on the science that the biomedical engineer Arthur Sterling discovered decades ago. Your brain is not a receptor of reality. It is a generator. And as long as your internal signal is divided, the generator continues emitting the same old life you claim to want to change. There is a neurological window of exactly 3 minutes where the human body enters a state of coherence so precise that the field around you begins to respond. It is not mysticism, it is biology, it is frequency, and in the next few minutes I am going to show you the physiological error that is blocking all your results and exactly how to reverse it this very week. Arthur Sterling was a biomedical engineer, not a guru. He studied the human body like one studies an electromagnetic instrument, and it was by looking at his own senses that he realized something traditional science still avoided admitting at that time. When a person enters a deep state of calm, something very specific happens inside them. The heart slows down in a rhythmic and elegant way. The nervous system stops firing alarm signals. Brain waves begin to synchronize with the heartbeat, and the electromagnetic field generated by the body itself starts to oscillate at a stable, continuous, harmonic frequency. Sterling called this physiological coherence, and he understood one thing that would change everything. This state is not the exclusive privilege of monks in the Rocky Mountains. It is a technical capacity of the human body, accessible to anyone who knows how to flip the right switches. The problem is that modern life keeps you in the opposite state 99% of the time. You wake up already checking your phone, already releasing cortisol, already in fight or flight mode before you even step out of bed. Your heart and your brain live in conflict. And as long as this conflict continues, no manifestation technique will work. Not because it is false, but because your body is blocking the signal before it even leaves you. Sterling discovered in practice that coherence is the door. Without it, everything you try out there is just noise. With it, your entire system becomes a focused antenna. And here enters the second piece of the puzzle, the one that practically no one tells you. Sterling proposed that the subconscious is not a mystical place where traumas are stored like books on a shelf. It is a vibrational system, a field of stored frequencies. Every belief you carry, every emotion that has repeated for decades, every pattern of fear, scarcity, or inadequacy is recorded inside you as an energetic signature. And it is this signature, this dominant signal, that defines what your life attracts, repels, sustains, or destroys. It is not what you consciously desire. It is what you emit all the time without noticing. Think of that everyday scene. You spend the entire morning trying to convince yourself that you deserve prosperity. You tell the mirror that money comes easily. You visualize the house, the car, the financial freedom. But 2 hours later, when an unexpected bill arrives on your phone, your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your body enters a silent panic. And guess which signal the field is reading? The panic, not the visualization. Because the visualization lasted 5 minutes. The fear lasts 16 hours a day. Your subconscious is like a giant broadcaster, transmitting at a very specific frequency, and the universe simply reflects back what it captured with the most intensity. You do not attract what you think. You attract what you feel chronically. And that is exactly why so many intelligent, hard-working, dedicated people remain stuck for years on end. They are emitting mixed signals. They are asking for love with one hand and contracting their stomach in fear of rejection with the other. They are asking for money while their entire body screams scarcity. The field does not respond to words. It responds to the state. And it is exactly at this point that most people get stuck for the rest of their lives. Because you cannot think your way out of a subconscious pattern. You cannot read enough books, listen to enough audios, or do enough therapy to change the base frequency of your body, because the part of you that needs to be reprogrammed is below the level of language. That is why I prepared the Abundance Magnet for you. It is a 28-day journey, surgically designed to bypass your rational mind and install day after day the frequency of abundance in your nervous system, in your heart, and in your electromagnetic field. It is not just another theory about the law of attraction. It is a neurophysiological protocol to reprogram the identity of scarcity that is sabotaging all your results. Whoever decides to enter now, the link is in the first pinned comment of this video. And if you are feeling that this mixed signal describes your life exactly, comment now before you continue watching. The phrase, "I choose to leave scarcity behind." This comment is not for engagement. It is your first clear order to the system that is going to start obeying you. Now take this next piece of data, because it is decisive. Sterling studied brain waves with the precision of someone measuring the oscillation of a circuit, and he observed that the human brain only allows real reprogramming in a very specific range, deep alpha, between 8 and 12 Hz. Above that, in the beta state where you spend your entire day, the brain is too busy filtering external stimuli, planning, worrying, and defending the ego. The door between the conscious and the subconscious is locked. You can repeat an affirmation 1,000 times in a beta state, and it will never sink an inch below the skin. It hits the surface and bounces back. It is like trying to save a file to a hard drive while the operating system is running an antivirus in maximum mode. The recording simply does not happen. But when you slow the brain down to the alpha range, something changes physically inside the skull. Cortical activity decreases. Cortisol production drops. The vagus nerve, that massive cable connecting the brain to the heart and viscera, begins to transmit signals of safety to the entire body. And in that moment, the barrier between your conscious mind and your subconscious becomes thin, almost translucent. It is the only neurological window in which a new instruction can descend and install itself where the old patterns live. It is as if the building's doorman finally went out for lunch, and you could slip in through the stairs and change the lock on the main apartment. Without deep alpha, you are just painting the outside wall. With deep alpha, you change who lives inside. And it was by observing exactly this window that Sterling arrived at the 3-minute architecture. He realized that the human body does not need an hour of meditation to initiate a real change. It doesn't need retreats. It doesn't need complicated mantras. It doesn't need incense. It needs about 3 minutes to complete an entire physiological cycle of coherence between the heart, brain, and autonomic nervous system. 3 minutes for the heart to slow down and stabilize its variability. 3 minutes for the brain to descend into alpha. 3 minutes for the electromagnetic field of the chest to generate a clean, continuous signal. And what makes this technique radically different from everything you have ever tried is the starting point. Most manifestation methods begin with the desire. Visualize what you want, focus on the goal, remember the objective. Wrong. Sterling completely reverses this logic. The technique does not start with the desire. It starts with the state. You do not force the universe to give you anything. You first install within yourself the frequency of someone who has already received. And only after that, with the body already in coherence, with the brain already in alpha, with the heart already stable, is the intention presented. Because an intention launched by a body in panic has zero power of modification. An intention launched by a coherent body is a direct instruction to the field. That is the difference between praying with fear and commanding with calm. And it is this difference that separates people who change their lives in weeks from those who try for the rest of their existence without ever moving from their spot. That is why I prepared the abundance magnet for you. The 28 days were designed exactly with Sterling's logic. State first, then the order. For those willing to stop praying with fear, the first pinned comment shows the way. Decide quickly, because the neurological window does not wait for you to feel ready. Let's go to the protocol now, because it needs to be executed with surgical precision. The first minute is dedicated entirely to the body. You do not try to think about anything. You do not try to visualize anything. You just sit with your spine straight, close your eyes, and bring all your attention to the center of your chest, to the region of the physical heart. And you begin a slow, elongated, rhythmic breath. Inhale, counting to 5. Exhale, counting to 5. Inhale, exhale, always passing the air through the chest, as if each respiratory cycle crossed the heart before entering and leaving. This simple movement in less than 60 seconds, does 3 measurable things. It activates the vagus nerve, synchronizes the heart rate with the breath, and begins to drop the activity of the sympathetic nervous system that keeps you in chronic alert. You feel the body soften, the shoulders drop, the jaw loosen. This is not just any relaxation. It is the first brick of coherence. Without it, nothing that follows works. The second minute completely changes planes. Now you leave the physical and enter the emotional. But pay attention, because this is where most people fail forever. You're not going to fake an emotion. You are not going to force a smile and say, "I am grateful." You are going to look inside yourself for a real, specific, concrete memory of a moment when you felt true gratitude, deep relief, or absolute certainty. It could be the birth of someone. It could be an old achievement. It could be the hug of a person you love. The content doesn't matter. The emotional truth matters. You relive that scene with such clarity that your chest feels warm. And then you sustain that emotion. Let it flood the body. Let it pulse along with the breath that continues entering and leaving through the heart. In that moment, your brain definitively enters alpha. Your heart enters resonance with the brain, and your electromagnetic field, measurable by scientific equipment, begins to oscillate in coherent patterns that extend for meters around your body. You have physically become an aligned antenna. And it is only in the 3rd minute, with the instrument finally tuned, that the order is launched. And see how Sterling puts this, because the precision of the language here changes everything. You do not ask. You do not plead. You do not try to convince the universe that you deserve it. You declare the new reality as if it were already a present fact. Not in the future, in the now. You do not say, "I will have money." You say, "I am a field that attracts abundance naturally." You do not say, "I will find peace." You say, "I live in peace. Peace is my base state." The language needs to be in the present because the subconscious does not operate on a timeline. It operates on state. And by declaring the new reality as existing, with the body in coherence, with the brain in alpha, with the heart emitting true emotion, you do something very specific that Sterling treated as a physical act, not a mystical one. You influence the field of possibilities. The observer, he said, modifies the observed, and your entire system has just become a coherent observer, transmitting a clean instruction without noise, without doubt, without mixed signals. This is the moment when the frequency of the new reality becomes stronger than the frequency of the old reality. And from that instant, something begins to change out there. It could be an unexpected call the next day. It could be an idea that appears out of nowhere. It could be a door that opens in a casual conversation. It is not a coincidence. It is the reflection of the new signal. And for some people, this starts to happen in just 3 or 4 days of consistent practice. For others, it takes a week. But the effect is measurable, replicable, and completely independent of religious belief, philosophy, or personality. It is biology. It is physics. It is frequency. Now we reach the most painful point of this recording. Because if the technique is so simple and so powerful, why do so many people do it and remain exactly where they were? And the answer is also in biology. Most people do the 3 minutes in the morning, get up feeling a slight state of well-being, open their phone, read bad news, get into a fight in traffic, receive an unpleasant email at work, and in less than an hour, the entire body has returned to the old neurological pattern. The jaw locks again, cortisol spikes again. Cortisol. The nervous system enters alert mode again, and all that coherent signal you generated in the morning is erased in a matter of minutes, replaced by the habitual noise of fear, doubt, and scarcity. It is as if you lit a candle in a room and then opened all the windows during a hurricane. The flame lasts seconds. You have just cancelled your own emission. And the worst part is that you don't even notice because the state of chronic panic is so familiar that your brain classifies it as normalcy. You don't feel like you are in panic. You just feel like you are living. But your body is, and the field is reading that. That is why Sterling's technique by itself is rarely enough. It is the trigger. But without a support system throughout the day, it becomes just another pretty exercise that doesn't change the internal structure. And it is precisely that structure, that neurological baseline of scarcity, that needs to be rewritten from underneath. That is why I prepared the abundance magnet for you. The 28-day journey is not a collection of meditations. It is a daily protocol designed so that each day consolidates the frequency of the previous day, preventing your brain from returning to the old pattern. 28 days is the exact neurological time for the body to accept a new identity as its base. Whoever enters today starts tomorrow. The first pinned comment is your door, and if you are recognizing here that you cancel your own frequency every day without realizing it, comment now, "I stop canceling," and take the public commitment not to go back to sabotaging your own signal. This command needs to come out of you before the end of this video. And so we reach the last piece, the one that separates the curious from those who truly transform their lives. The coherence achieved in the 3 minutes is not the destination. It is the departure. The real work begins when you finish the practice and open your eyes. Because from there, every choice you make during the day either reinforces the new frequency or erases it. When someone provokes you and you respond with the old reactivity, you have cancelled the signal. When a bill arrives and you enter a panic, you have cancelled the signal. When you compare yourself with someone else on social media and feel that familiar pang of inadequacy, you have cancelled the signal. Coherence must be actively defended. You need to start acting, speaking, deciding, eating, sleeping, spending money, and responding to stimuli as if you were already the new person you declared yourself to be in the 3rd minute. It is not pretending, it is installation. Each time you choose the new state in the middle of an old trigger, your brain records that choice in a slightly deeper layer, and after a few days, something strange begins to happen. The new frequency becomes the dominant one. And when it becomes dominant, the field out there has no choice. It must reflect the new signal. People change around you. Opportunities appear in unlikely places. Decisions that previously seemed impossible become obvious. You are not attracting, you have become. And being is infinitely more powerful than wanting, because wanting presupposes lack, being presupposes presence, and the field only responds to what is present. You can close this video now, and tomorrow morning your body will wake up and repeat exactly the same emotional past it has repeated for years. The same chemistry in the blood, the same tension in the jaw, the same frequency cancelling all your desires before they even leave your mouth. Or you can use the next 3 minutes of your day, even today before you sleep, to initiate the cycle that Sterling mapped scientifically. The biology is ready. The brain is waiting for the instruction. The field is in silence, awaiting your coherent signal. The one who decides is not the universe, it is you. Comment now. I choose the new state if you understand that your reality responds to your state, not your words. And go to the first pinned comment before your brain invents an excuse to leave it for later. Because delay is also a frequency, and it is exactly that frequency that is keeping you where you are.